everybody, and welcome back to the Board Game Specialist. I am Melanie.
And I'm Carla.
And we are on episode 80, and this time we are going to be talking about our top 9 campaign games. But before we get into that, as usual, we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been playing lately. And actually, we just had a game day at my house here for Halloween, which was a blast. Everybody showed up dressed up. We had tons of snacks. We played tons of game. It was amazing.
It was so fun. Yeah, we played lots of Halloween-themed games, mostly. Phantom Inc. was probably my favorite of the Halloween games.
Yeah.
But, well, and actually Bloody and I loved too. But
yes.
But the game I'm going to talk about, or the games I'm going to talk about, one of them is called Winterhaven Woods. Now, this is a card game that was, I believe, on Kickstarter and probably was in 2021 because it delivered in 2022. And it's just this really simplistic art on it with these forest creatures with a white background, like so very simplistic, but really cute little creatures. And it can be played up to 6 people. It's a 1 to 6 player game. There's a solo mode. And what you do is you deal out 7 cards and then you draft them. You each take one, pass it to the left, take another one, pass it until you end up with, I think it's 7 or 8 cards. I've been playing the solo version so much, so I can't remember now the multiplayer. But, and then you end up with 7 or 8 cards. And what you do is you're going to populate your forest. So first of all, if you have trees, you're going to plant your trees. You do start with a Heart of the Woods, which is a 3-tree wood. So it has 3 in 1 card. And you could possibly have a card with 2 trees or a card with 1 tree. So you're going to plant those and you can add them to the one that's there, or you can start a new one. And the only time it'll become a woods is if it has 3 trees in it. And the reason you would want it to have 3 trees is that's when you populate with your critters. Critters or animals. There's all kinds of little critters. There's these little squirrels. There's gray and red squirrels. And they can't be in the same forest because they fight. So you have to either have gray squirrels or red squirrels. You can have deer in there, and you can add rabbits. Now, a rabbit can one of them can be added to each wood, even if there's other animals there. You have other animals. You have these little hedgehogs, but they stay in your meadow. So your woods are all in front of you on the trees, but above that is the meadow. And if you have animals and critters in there, they become vulnerable to predators, which are other cards that you could possibly have. You could have a wolf, you could have an owl, you could have a bear, you could have a fox. And these creatures or animals will steal other ones. They can steal from other people's meadows. There's a beaver that can steal a single tree. So he drags the tree over back to yours. It's so cute. And the wolves and bears will hunt, but the fox and the owl will steal. And they will steal from, the fox will steal from the meadow, and the owl will steal from someone else's woods. So it's kind of neat because you'll play like that round. You'll place all your trees and then you'll place your critters. And if they can't fit into your woods, they have to go into your meadow. So they're vulnerable. And then you do a steal phase. And so depending if you have like a fox or an owl that will steal, you will look to see who gets to do it first because they are numbered. They have like a sequence of numbers. So if I have a number 2 fox and you had a number 4, I would get to steal first. So I would get to steal from your meadow if there was a little critter there. The fox and the owl can only steal small animals. They can't steal deer, obviously. But, and then, so you go in that sequence, and then there's a hunt. So there's bears and wolves. The wolves need to hunt in packs of 3s. So if you only have 2 wolves sitting in your meadow, you don't have a pack yet, a bear can hunt one of the wolves. So it's quite interesting because you're trying to build up your hunt and your woods and then your creatures, but then they get stolen or eaten. And so you play 3 rounds, I believe, in a multiplayer game. And after the 3rd round, then you count up all your score and you see who wins. There's one more little thing that I didn't figure out until after, because it had said at the scoring, it said, oh, for all the same kind of birds you have in your forest. I'm like, there's only owls in the game, so I don't understand what they're talking about. So I was playing with Ashley and she's like, look, there's little tiny birds on the trees. And there's like different colored ones. So you're also set collecting these little tiny birds that are on the single trees. And so you want all the same in one woods, and then you get bigger points that way. But it's really cute. There's a 2-player version, and then there's a solo mode, and then there's an expansion with all kinds of different animals and things that you can add into it. But it's so pretty, and I ended up buying it used. I had it in my cart at Board Game Bliss, and I was going to buy it. It was quite expensive for a card game. It was $35, so that's why I was like, hesitant. I don't know. Is it really, worth that? And so this guy was selling it with the expansion for $20, so I snapped that up.
Done.
So happy that I did. But
yeah, it sounds like a theme that would just appeal to you.
Oh yeah, and you have to look at the art on them. They're just so cute and like simple. There's no background because it's snow, which is perfect, right?
Oh, I guess right, yeah.
The back of the card is basically white with a little bit of like a wave, kind of like a snow drift on it. So it's so simple, but I'm bringing it next week. My daughter and I are going for a couple days for like a retreat to a cabin in the woods. And we're taking our dogs, and we're just going to do lots of walks, lots of games and reading and relaxing, just the two of us and our pups.
Oh, that'll be good.
I'm going to bring that with.
Yeah.
But one other game that I'm so loving right now. I played part of it at your game day. We pulled it out and set it up a 4-player game, and then your game ended, and the people ended up leaving. So I'm like, I'll jump out of this one and I'll go play something with Mel. But then I got home and I was watching it again. And I'm like, oh no, I have to have this game. So I went and bought it. And I knew I would like it. It's in the DeVere line. So I don't know if you know what the DeVere line games are. Though they've made some big games like Batoku or not, but they've made these smaller box games that are a big game in a small box. And the first one was Red Cathedral that they made, which I really like. Now this one was called The White Castle. And then they've also made one called Bamboo. And what they are is like, they're Euro games, but they're very pretty. And they all have different types of mechanics. But what this one does is it's a dice drafting game. But you only have 9 actions through the whole game. There's 3 rounds. You get 3 dice each round. And it seems like you can't get much done. It is a pretty quick game. But what you do with each dice could possibly bonus and like let you do more and more and more action. So you kind of have to have a look at the board and see what one dice could get you to like bounce off different things. So you have these 3 bridges, and it's like an orange, a black, and a white bridge with these dice. And so you'll roll the dice and you'll put them on the bridge, and you'll put the lowest dice on one end of the bridge, the rest in the middle, but then the highest one will go on the other end of the bridge. So those sit there because you can choose any from either side. But if you end up choosing the lower dice, which is the less attractive one, because the higher the better, obviously, you do get to do this other action on your board. So if you do that and you've built up all these actions, because you will build all these cards where that action is, and later on down the line it'll be like a really cool action. Beginning it's not so much, but you place this die on the board and there's all these different placements you can put it, and depending what number it shows on the board, like it might show a 3 dice, and you put a 6 down, you're going to get $3 back. So if you put a lower one, you have to pay up to the 3 or whatever the amount is. So that's why you want the highest dice, because you can put that basically anywhere and then you can get money from it. Now, in a multiplayer game, you can stack dice. So if somebody went to one spot, I can put one on top, and then whatever they put, I will get the money or pay the money from that. But in a 2-player, 1-player game, you can only use one spot. Now, the different areas of this is it's like an Asian themed game where you are warriors, you are courtiers in a castle, and you are gardeners. So there's kind of 3 sections on the board. And what each of them does is the castles let you like move up into the castle for points, collect cards, and then do these certain actions on the cards that are there as of now. The warriors are basically placed in an area that give you multipliers for the end of the game. So they multiply for however many courtiers you have in the castle. But you also get an action when you go there. Now you have to spend these goods, and you have these 3 goods tracks. You have iron, rice, and mother of pearl. Those are the resources in the game, and then there's money, of course. And then the gardeners are beside the bridges, and they have these actions that you would place them, and you have to pay food to put them there. But then at the end of the round, if there's dice left on those certain bridges, you'll get to redo that action. So you're kind of trying to guess what people are not going to take the last dice, because there will be at least 3 dice left at the end of the round that no one's taken. So you're hoping they'll be left on the bridge that you have your gardeners. And so it's just like a real combo game where you, like I said, you're trying to figure out how to maximize your one turn with that 1 dice. There is one little spot too where everybody can go, because you can't get locked out of doing nothing, which will give you money, or sorry, it will most likely give you money because it's got a 1 die pip there. And then you get a couple resources, and you get these little orange things called diamos. And those can be used in place of money or goods as well. But they're also used to pay for certain things, certain actions. It's so neat. I can't even explain how much I love this game. You have to try it. It's such a cool game. But what are you going to talk about? Yeah, it's really neat.
Yeah.
What are you talking about today?
Well, I'm going to talk about a couple games we ended up playing at the Halloween game day. So the first one we pulled out was Obscurio. That was actually off my shelf of shame. I had purchased that one a little, I think earlier in the year, because it was on sale and it was a great price, and I just hadn't played it yet. So I had watched the tutorial that week, so I'd be ready to play, and it did sound really, really neat. It's Dixit-like or Mysterium-like. I guess it's more like Mysterium. So we are wizards caught in a library, and we need to make it out. And then each round we got to select the right door to get out. And one of the person is the clue giver, but then among us, one of the person is also a traitor. So as we discuss where we're trying to go, they may not be very forthcoming, or kind of, mess up a bit. And for the longest time, I thought you were the traitor, but you weren't. So,
I kept sounding like it.
You really did. So, but what's really neat with it too, and kind of what some of the complaints might be with Dixit and Mysterium, is you're given clues and you're like, okay, I really hope they pay attention to this because this is what my clue is. And I'm picking it because of the color. I'm picking it because there's this image in there, right? But you don't know that. Now with this one, the clue giver has 2 little arrows that they can put on the picture that are going to be the clue, to say, okay, pay attention to the fire here and to the hand. So you're knowing what aspect of the image is your clue. So what will happen is they'll draw a card, that's the door. Then they'll draw 2 cards that they'll pick a clue on those cards. Then the traitor is going to pick 2, sometimes depending on what the hurdle is for that round, could be up to 4. But they'll pick cards to add along with the door. So they're going to pick cards that kind of matches the clues that have been provided already. And then random cards gets added, so you'll have 6 doors unless you've got the hurdle that kind of adds a 7th door. And then you have all these doors, and you got to figure out which one is the one that we need to go through. Now, sometimes the trader has seen what door is the actual door, and sometimes they haven't. Then there was the one time where she had pointed at the fire on the candle, and she was pointing at the hand, and one of the door actually had a fire ball coming out of a hand. Yeah, and we're like, oh, that's obvious. It's how to be this one, right? But it felt obvious, but if we all went there and it wasn't, then we wouldn't advance that round. So a few of us was like, okay, but this could also potentially work, so I'll go here, you guys go there, and then so it was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. The artwork's beautiful, plus some of the hurdles makes it so that you have to add a red film on the image, so you can't see it's for the color because everything is red. We didn't end up having that one. There was another one that has like a clear with bunch of white swirl, so it makes seeing the image a lot harder. In fact, the image was a scarecrow, and the clue giver thought it was a tree. So she's like, "Oh, I thought that was a tree."
It worked
because it just
for
made
the
it.
clue, didn't it? Like somehow
It still kind of did. Yeah, it was just like the shape of the collar, because she was pointing at the collar thinking it was the trunk, like, but so it still kind of worked, and we ended up finding our way out. But yeah, I did enjoy that one. It was neat, and it was like we played at the proper player count. A few games we played that day, I think we had too many players, and it kind of impeded the game a little bit, but that one was great. Mm-hmm. Then afterwards we played Phantom Inc., and that was another one that you can play as many people as you want. And it was funny because me and Ashley were the clue givers the first time, and we're like giving our clues, because so you pick a card and you pick a word on there. We had picked lawnmower, so that is the word that the teams has to try and guess. So each round they're giving us two cards that has two questions on it that we're answering. And then like one of them is like, where is this best used, or something, whatever, right? And then we kind of discard the one question and we answer the other one. So where is it best used? We're like, okay, well, the answer is going to be yard. So then you give one letter at a time. Y. And then A, but we're like doing it in ghost sounds, like, why? And then it was like, we're so into it. It was hard to stop talking like a ghost, honestly. But it was just so much fun. And then so each team are getting answers, and then like you do one letter at a time, and then when the team decides, okay, stop, don't give us any more letters because we think we know what it is, but the other team can see the same letters, but they don't know what the question is, so the answer might not be as obvious. And you keep giving clues until one of the teams say, okay, we're gonna guess, and then they'll have to give us one letter at a time. L, A, it's like, and you'll spell out lawnmower, and then if they give us all the correct answer, then they win. So it's a neat game. I do like it. And then like it was so thematic for Halloween game day as well. Mm-hmm. So I had a blast with that one. We played it twice in a row, and then we kind of ended up playing a few more party games, like kind of big group games, before we divided up. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
We had a lot of fun. That was so fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Perfect. So now we're going into our top 9 campaign games. So I've kind of taken that to mean like scenario games. Like, because you got ones that are like, what's the word I'm trying to say? It's kind of almost legacy type games. Campaign-like. You got some that, is definitely you need to go one through one before you can move on, while some are. And I know personally, I have a really hard time with like legacy games or that sort of stuff, just because I think I have a commitment issue. And if it's going to be one of those games, I want to do it with just me and Lee, because it's hard to get the group back together again. Mm-hmm. So I prefer to do those just me and Lee. And then I don't want to just play the same game forever. Like, I want to mix it up. So I've picked I've picked game that was a little bit looser on the commitment side of it, but still has like different campaign. Mm-hmm. How did you go about it?
Yeah, I have a few campaign, a few legacy, so they're kind of mixed up a bit.
Okay.
But, it used to be easier, I'm going to say, because I used to just mostly play with Cherry, so it was the two of us, so it was pretty easy for us to get a legacy game done, because, we were the only ones playing most of the time, so. But now it's a little trickier when there's more than two, and to have the same people want to play all the time, but we are working on one right now, but I'll talk about that in a bit. Yeah.
All right. Sounds great. Well, then let's get started. What's your number 9?
All right. My number 9 is Adventures of Robin Hood. Now, this one is, I'm not even sure if they consider this one a legacy or a campaign. It feels like both almost, because it's not like you're opening up boxes or anything, but what you are doing is you play a character. So I'm Robin Hood, And then there's like, I think you have to have Lil John. Yeah, the two of you have to be in the game. I think it's a minimum of 3 people, and you have to have either Maid Marian or, what's the other guy called? He's the assistant. Now I'm blanking on his name.
I don't.
Do you know who?
Right.
Anyway.
No, I don't. I can't think of it.
So there's 3 of us playing this, and what you do is you have this big map, like that's the game board, and on the map you have these little tabs that you can pull up.
Flip open, right?
Yeah, they have numbers on them and stuff. And so what you do is you move around to these things, and you have an objective. You actually have this little novel that you use, and that's how you guide the game. So you start the game depending what number you're doing, and it'll say, okay, you're going to start here, and this is what you're trying to accomplish. And then you move around. And how you move is you have these little movement markers. You have 2 short ones, a long one, and then a longer one. And what you do is you can use them all if you want to move to a spot. But if you save your long one, then you get to add kind of health to this bag that you're drawing from. So, I mean, if you can move, with just short movement, then it's better. And so when you get to a spot, if there's like a number, you'll look it up and it'll give you an option. Like, do you want to ask for help, or do you want to ask for them to hide you? Because you're always trying to hide, because there's a big castle in the middle, and then there's a forest, and then there's these open spaces. And you can see on the board, there's like shade all over. And when you're in the shade, nobody can see you. But if you ever dip out into the non-shade, then if there's like a I don't know what they're called now in that era, not a cop, but something similar.
Right, the sheriff.
Yeah, they'll catch you or whatever. And then there's all different types of townspeople that you go and you try to either get some supplies from, or you might get them to hide you, and it's kind of neat. But a lot of times you're trying to get into the castle. So you have to go up the wall, or you might have to go and find some rope first to climb up the wall. So you have to go all over to find the rope, climb up the wall. There's all different kinds of things you need to do. You might have to find like a secret camp. I'm doing some spoilers here, so I should better stop saying that, but there's all different things. And I think we're about halfway through, but at first we played it and I was like, I don't know if we're going to like this. This is not our real type of game to play. But then we were just like, we got really intrigued with it. And then we're like, okay, next week, let's do another one of those. Let's do another one. And so I think we're over halfway through, but it's quite neat. The book is just like a beautiful leather novel. And then it has these ribbons that will like save the spot where you're at. And the story, I mean, the writing isn't the best, but it's still neat to me. I'm not a big judge on story writing in board games, because I believe you would save that for novelists, but it's quite neat. It's something to try. Once I'm done with it, I can, if you want to try it, you can try it out.
Yeah, it sounds so interesting.
It is. And I mean, I love the Robin Hood theme. Like, to me, it's so neat. But yeah, so that's my number 9.
Yeah, it just really feels like you're going through a story adventure, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it sounds anyways. Yeah, cool. Perfect. My number 9 is Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. This is probably the first campaign-like game I've ever played. And what's neat is, well, one thing I like about it, first of all, Harry Potter has such a huge following. Everybody knows that story. And so many people like it. So this is a really easy one to introduce to pretty much anybody. And it grows in difficulty. So this is a deck building game where you're playing as co-op as one of the Harry Potter characters. So you could be Ron or Hermione or Harry Potter. And I forget who the 4th character is in there. I think Looney is part of the expansion. So she's not, is it
you got
Longbottom?
Hermione, Harry, and the redheaded
Ron.
Ron.
That's Ron. And then I think Longbottom. Is the 4th one. Yeah, but so you can play as those characters. Now, some of the cards are going to be similar as everybody. Some of the cards are going to be specific to your own character. And then it's just really neat as it progressed. So first time you play, you open the box number 1, you have like the easy monsters that's going to come up. You have like the cards that are going to be available to purchase, and they're going to be, you know, like part of the first movie. Then as you play and you beat that one, you would go and open box number 2. Now you're in the second movie, so you're getting more cards added along with the first level cards, and you get more monsters added on. And then, like, eventually, as you go through all the different box, dices get added that do different things. And your character gets older, so you get, like, a new player board that you're going to be playing. And because you're getting older and better in the Hogwarts school, you get access to kind of better spells because you can do, you know, you've grown as a student. So it is so neat. And it's just... I really enjoy every time I play it. I really enjoy it. Now I got the expansion with like the extra beast, but I've never played it because every time I play the game, I play with somebody new. So we start at the beginning levels. I haven't added the expansion yet. I know both me and my sister own the expansion. I don't think either one of us have played it yet. The first time I played it was at a meetup group that Falcon had, like a Falcon meetup, and I ended up sitting in with it and then played it, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then my friend owned it, so I played it with her, and then my sister got a copy, and then we ended up playing her copy, and now I got my own copy. So it's just one that I really enjoy. And then if you've played it through a few times, you don't have to start at year 1. You could be like, okay, let's play, we're going to start year 4 or whatever. Like, so it is flexible in that way. I really enjoy that one. So that's my number 9, Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle.
Yeah, that's a really good deck builder. You had lent me that game, and I kind of played through a lot of it solo, which was good, but I think it would be better with at least 2 players, and none of my game group loves Harry Potter, so I'm like,
that's so weird.
I know.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, this was published in 2016, created by Forrest Fruzan Creative, and Camille Mendel and Andrew Wolf.
Nice. And I did forget to say who the author or the designer of Robin Hood was. That was Michael Menil, and it was made in 2021.
Perfect.
And my number 8 is actually a 2021 game, and that's Welcome to the Moon. And it's made by Alex Allard and Benoit Turpin. Now, this one is a spin-off of Welcome to.
Right.
So it's a roll and write, but this one is a campaign game. It might even be considered a legacy game because I'm playing this through with just 2 of us. We are almost at the end. I think we have 2 games left. I believe there's 10 or 12 games in here. But the neat thing is you get this box and you basically have 10 or 12 roll and write games in there because each step of the legacy or campaign is a completely different game. The first one starts out quite simple. Maybe even a little more simple than the Welcome to base, and then it just kind of ramps up, but they're all completely different. So you're spending, I think it is like almost $40 for this, but you're really getting, now I can't remember if it's 10 or 12, might be 10, but 10 games in there. Might even be 8, but still, that's a lot, and they're good. They, I think I like them better than Welcome to. I do love that whole line, Welcome to, but these ones are so interesting because they add all different kinds of things. Same kind of base where you have the 3 cards, you flip them over, you choose the number, you have to go in order, like from left to right. You don't have to go like 1, 2, 3, 4. You can go 1, 3, 6, 8, and then you take the action on the card too. Now it's really neat because you play, and if you win the game, you become the captain for the next one. So you get to choose when you look in the book, and you will read a little bit. There's a little bit of story to it, and you get to choose: are we going to go to this one, or are we going to go to that one? And then the next game will happen, and the winner of that one will become the captain. It's really neat. If you are into roll and writes at all, and you have a player that can play them with you, like a husband and wife or your kids or something, I highly recommend this one because it's such a neat campaign game. And then you have like 8-10 games afterwards that you can play. Nice. And just pick out one and just check out the rules. And you have all the cards, and then you have all these little tuck boxes in there to keep everything nice and neat as well. But yeah, that's my number 8. Welcome to the Moon.
Perfect. My number 8 is quite a bit older. And this is Betrayal at House on the Hill. This is in 2004. It was published in 2004, created by Bruce Glasgow and Rob Davio and Bill McKillen, and then Mike Selinker and Tywin I can't even read my spelling anymore. Now, this is an older one. What's really neat with this one is it has 50 potential scenarios that you're going to be playing as. It's a dungeon crawl. You start with like the one big tile, and you have your little painted characters, like your painted minis on there, and then you spread out in this mansion, and you're going to discover more rooms. The rooms can be on the floor level or the upper level, or they could end up being in the basement, and depending on where you're exploring, which tile will kind of come out. And then every time you go into a room, you can find items, or you can find like an omen card, or there's different things that will happen. So you're kind of playing the first half trying to collect things and making your character a little bit more powerful if you can, until the haunt starts. Because every time you draw an omen card, you need to roll and these dice, and then some of the dice will have like 0, 1, 2, or 3 on it. And then when you roll, as long as you have more pips than there are omen cards in play, all is good. You keep going. But when you don't, and you roll, your pips are less than the omen cards, then the haunt starts. And depending on what omen card it was and which room triggers it, it'll activate one of these 50 potential scenarios. So you never really know which one it's going to be. And most of the time, it'll turn one of the players into the betrayer. So it becomes like one versus all. So sometimes it's like, oh, they turn into a werewolf, or they turn into Dracula, and then everybody else has like, you read like the objective, this is what we need to do to be able to kill that one person, and then the one person has their own objective that they read for that particular scenario. It's like, okay, this is what you need. If you're able to find this item and get out or something, like, then you win. So there's 2 winning objective now, and you're kind of carrying on with it, trying to kind of have until you have one team that's the winner. Now they also have Betrayal at Baldur's Gate, which I purchased and I played the one time. They have like a Scooby-Doo version one too that I think would be so
Really?
cool. Yeah. So this is just a really neat, because as you add, like, the board is going to be different every time as you add things. You never know which scenario is going to trigger. I really enjoy this one. So that's my number 8, Betrayal at House on the Hill.
So is this the Betrayal Legacy one? Or
no,
just the
they
base
just came
games?
out with this is just the first base game. So I know they did come out with like a legacy one. So I'm assuming, because this is like, and that's one thing I like about this, because it's one and done. Like, you sit down, you play their scenario, you're done, and then you bring it out again and you play it again, and it's going to be as different, or maybe the same scenario, you never know, and then you're done. So it doesn't matter if it's newcomers that plays, and it doesn't matter if it, like, it can. It's just, you can play it again and again and again with a bunch of different people every time if you want to. I really like that about it.
Neat. Awesome. All right. My number 7 is Pandemic Season 0, made in 2020 by Rob Davio and Matt Leacock. Now, this is definitely a legacy game. I have played Season 1. I've played Season 2. I like Season 0 the best. Season 1, I played with 3 people, and we played through that. That one took a little while because it was kind of tough to get together. Season 2, I played with Cherry, and we played it during COVID over Zoom.
Wow.
While we were doing our roll and writes over Zoom, we also played this. So she had the game. It was her game. She set it up and kind of ran all the cards and everything. And I could just sit there and be like, oh yeah, I want this card, or, whatever. But we played through the whole thing that way. Now, we did win. Now, I can't even remember if we won the first one, I think, but we did win the second and the third. The reason I like the third the best is it just seemed to have the most kind of Euro mechanics to it, where there was things that, if you don't know how Pandemic plays, you are trying to cure all these viruses. Now, in each of these, they kind of add a little bit different things where it might not be viruses you're curing. I'm not going to spoil anything this time. So I'm not going to say, but I can say that you do start out with a small part of the world and then you do end up with more. And this one just seemed, I don't know, it seemed to really hit with me because of the things that you could do and the different actions that would happen and the things that would change throughout each game. It was just awesome. And if you were ever thinking about doing one of the Pandemic Legacies, I would say it's not like it had to go in order 0, 1, 2, 3. You could really do any order, but 0 was my favorite of them all. And that's my number 7.
Perfect. Yeah, I haven't done any of them. And that's, again, I think is the commitment side that I just, my number 7 is Awkward Guest, the Walton Case. This one was published in 2016, and it was created by Ron Gonzola Garcia. And this one is just so cool. It's so cool. So it's like a whodunit, and you're trying to figure out who the murderer is and how they did it and why they did it. So, and what's really neat is each time you play this game, you're going to have a different scenario that's going to be set up. And based on that scenario, you're going to pull out a bunch of cards based on their numbers, and that's all gets shuffled in together. Now, the game instruction has like different scenarios you can activate. It also has an app that'll do all that for you. And it's just so cool because it'll pull out all of these different cards. And depending on the cards that get pulled, there's a whole set, like, single story that's created there that's going to point out to like one murderer and one motive and one murder weapon, and all the clues are going to point to that. And what I really like about this game over a game of Clue, for example, like with a game of Clue, you'll be like, okay, I think this, and then you can show a card is like if you have a card that disproof one of the items that you think is in, like, you know, so we say Carla mustard with the candlestick in the library, then they can pass on one card that disprove what you're saying, and then you see the card. In this case, you will kind of offering bids like, okay, so I want to know about this person. And then everybody can look at their card and see what they have in their hand that has like information about that person or that murder weapon or that location and so on. And then they can put down, say, okay, well, I have some clues available to you. It tallies up to 5. So if they want to have those clues, they are going to give you from their hand clues that equals up to 5 as well. And then you guys swap those cards. And then you look at it and the card doesn't have like, oh, this is the knife, so you know it's not the knife. It says like the murder weapon was not caused, or like the murder wasn't caused by blunt force trauma. So you know it's not the hammer. You know it's not the bat. Like, you know, and you can cross off those things. So it's not as like kind of straightforward as it wasn't the knife. Like it's kind of more of a story with it. And then like, you know, so you get like things from the forensic scientists like that did the autopsy, and that's how they know this. And then you get stuff from the staff that's like, okay, well, I heard that so-and-so was saying this about that person. Cause you got to figure out why are they being murdered as well. So you're trying to figure out the gossip behind it as well. It is so cool. I really like this one. We played it the first time at Goth Fest. And then I went and I was like, okay, I need this game. And then my friend was selling it. And she's like, well, I can bring it to you at FallCon. I was like, no, not waiting till FallCon. I'm coming to pick it up right now. So I drove over to get it. And then we ended up playing it again at MalCon. Loved it. It was so, so cool. I really like it. Plus, I think a new version has come out where it's more about trying to put together a gossip. But I haven't the scandal. Yeah. So I haven't played that one. I've just kind of looked into it, but I think it's going to be exciting as well. So that was my number 7, Awkward Guest.
Yeah, that's a fun game. That Scandala, I have to check after you're talking next. It was on for like $20 at Board Game Blitz.
What? I'm checking this out right now.
I thought I sent you a thing when it was. I don't know if it is anymore, but it was like, I'm like, what's going on here? I thought I told you about it because I thought you would be interested. But anyway, you have a look while I'm chatting here. So my number 6 is Rise of Queensdale. This is made in 2018 by Marcus and Inca Brand. Now, I love these two designers. They've made some of my favorite games, and they are so interesting because all their games are so different. This game I ended up purchasing at Bianca's, which is our liquidation world, where we sometimes will get games that you're like, what are they doing here? These are, our modern board games. And I got this one for, I think it was $20 or $29. It retails for like around the $80 mark. And it is a legacy game. And so it's a legacy Euro game. So right up my alley. So me and Cherry tried it out and we're like, well, what's the harm? I mean, let's just give it a try. So we played the first game and we're like, this is really cool, actually. And so then we kept going through the whole thing. And what you're doing is you kind of start in this corner of the map, each of you. There's 4 corners, but if you play with 2, I think you start in the opposite corner and you try to kind of spread out and build these little, some of them are buildings, but others are just kind of action tiles that will help with your actions. And how you do that is there's a worker placement board and you will use your dice. And so you start with a certain amount of dice and you roll. And, I'm going to be placing an order here soon, so you can add it to me. She just messaged in our group chat, who's doing a Bliss order? Is it $20 on there?
It's $20!
Yeah, okay, awesome.
Wow.
Anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
So that's okay. So what you're doing is, you're trying to spread out, and it's neat because all these little tiles are flipped over and you don't know what's on them. And as you move, that's one of the actions, you can flip over these tiles and see, and you're collecting herbs. And these herbs, you're kind of trying to set collect them because you might need them to pay for something. You could also go to a spot with one of your dice to collect resources. I think there's wood, stone, gold, I believe is one. There's all kinds of things you can do. I don't really want to spoil this one as well, but if you can ever get this game at a deal, and you know what, it is even a good game at what the price it's at. It's just so neat. You are doing so many different things, and I don't know, it's how the catch-up mechanism is really cool too, because if you're behind, you get to start the next game with quite a few things that the other person doesn't. So it's not one of those games where, if you're behind 2 games, like, I'm never catching up. I can't, that's impossible. No, you get a huge catch-up mechanism. That's the word.
Yeah.
That will help you catch up. But yeah, if you ever get a chance, or if you get this at a deal, or even if you buy it at full price, you should give it a try. And that's Rise of Queensdale.
Nice. Well, my number 6 is Watson and Holmes. And this one was published in 2015 by Jesus Torres Castro. And I don't own this game. I've played it at Shoebox, or I'm assuming they still do, but they would have game nights and I would go and attend, and they'd have these different games that they'd showcase. And this one was just a bunch of games, and we ended up playing that. This was neat because it would showcase different games, and then if you played the game and you end up liking it and you wanted to purchase it, you'd get like 10% off that night for that particular game. So I bought a lot of games that way. But this one, it wasn't one of their showcase game. I don't think they had it for sale there, or I would have taken it with me. I love the Sherlock Holmes theme. And with this one is you're going across the board. You're traveling on here trying to collect different clues. And what was neat about it is when you would get to a location and you would look that clue, it was a little bit like Awkward Guess, where you got a little blip of a story. And within that little blip of the story, there'd be some information on there. Now you could kind of put like a lock or something that would be like, okay, I'm going to lock this, so people couldn't just access that clue easily. They'd had to kind of unlock it in order to be able to see the clue you just saw. But it was funny because we would do that, and you would read something, and then you're reading that little blurb, and that little blurb has absolutely nothing to do with anything. This was a dead end, and you put a lock on it. And everybody's like, what the heck? What did she read? And everybody goes at this dead end. And it's like, it reveals nothing. But it was so cool. And you would play this game, and there was like, I think 6 separate scenarios that you would go through. So it was one of those, like, once you've gone through, it's done. You've solved all the cases. But it's like, unlike an exit or an unlock, like, it was a board game, like it was a board game play. So it was so cool. I really enjoy this one. And that was my number 6, Watson and Holmes. So yeah, if I find this one, I need to buy it because I got to try the other cases.
Yeah, that looks
cool. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right, my number 5 is Blackout Hong Kong. This is made in 2018 by Alexander Pfister. Now, this one is a campaign that is in a normal game. The campaign is quite neat, though. Now, I can't remember how many games it was. We played through a 2-player campaign of this. I think it was almost 10. It could have been 8 games, but what you're doing in this game is there's a blackout in Hong Kong and you're trying to collect supplies and move them along on this map kind of thing. And there's a bit of area control, but it's not like you lock anybody out. You would just be the first one to kind of close off this area and gain kind of a bonus. Now, the card play in this is so unique. He did take a bit of it from Mombasa, his other game, but it's still a bit different. You were playing cards, so you're kind of like a programming game where you put cards face down and then you'll flip them up and you'll do those actions. And then those cards will stay in that face up until you have one pile that has a certain amount of cards, then you have to take it. So the reason why you're placing these cards down is to do the actions, but you're also trying to fulfill some of these objectives of certain colored cards in one of the rows. So it's sometimes hard to wrap your brain around because you're like, okay, yeah, I'm so close to this one. Damn it, I have to pull this pile back. I totally wrecked. I needed to get one more card in there. Now I got to pull it back and start over. So it is like quite thinky in that way. And that's just part of like a little mechanic. Now you have this little wheel that has different dice actions, and you have 3 dice that you roll, and like it's for everybody, and you'll place them on these actions, and those are the only actions that you can do in the round unless you have saved some from another time where you would place your little spot on them. And so you're just trying to fulfill these cards, basically. And so you're trying to get supplies like rice and water, medical supplies, and all kinds of things. And it's such a unique game. I can't think of anything like it other than the card play is a little bit similar to Mombasa, but it's so neat. People complain so much about this game because it was black. Well, it's blackout. Like blackout. There is some color on it, and so they ended up changing the game board, and they made it white with some black in it, and then everyone's like, "Oh, hooray!" And it's like, come on, people! It's the theme of the game. There's a blackout in there. They just wanted color, but so they made it a little bit prettier. But the gameplay is so cool. You have to try this game. And that's my number 5, Blackout Hong Kong. And it just plays as a normal game, but it has that campaign in the back. Which of Pfister, he does that a lot. We're playing through the Maracaibo, which is a really cool campaign. I don't know if his Great Western Trails have campaigns in them. I don't think so, but a lot of his games since then, they have campaigns involved in them. And it's kind of neat.
Yes, I did play that one. I was so impressed with it. Now, the board I have has a white background, but then all the area is black.
Yeah.
So I could see black on black might be a little difficult to see, but I remember playing this the first time. I haven't played the campaign. I just played like a standalone game, and I was so impressed with it. Yeah, I was like, wow, this is such a good game. Yeah. That was great.
It's really
great pick.
Like you have to really wrap your brain around what you need to do, what the cards you need to do,
what actions are available that round, and no, that was great. I didn't realize it was a campaign.
Yeah,
so I didn't consider it that way at all.
Cherry won the campaign.
Nice,
but it was close.
Well, all right. My number 5 is Aeons End, and Aeons End. Now, there's also Aeons End Legacy. But then Aeons End, the base game, also plays like a different scenario every time. You would pick a different monster that you're going to battle, and there's different cards that get selected each round. But this is a deck building battle game. So it's co-op. Everybody's trying to battle and beat the monster that's attacking the village because you're trying to protect the village. This is a hard game. The village has been destroyed so many times. I think we saved it once, but it's just very interesting. And what's really neat about it, because with a deck building game, is you purchase all these cards, they get added to your discard pile when your deck is out, you shuffle your discard pile and you start again. With this one, you don't. When your deck is out, you take your discard pile without shuffling, you flip over. So it's really important how you discard your cards when you put them out and what you buy when and where it goes in your deck. Because there's like an engine building component of this, right? You're buying these gems, but if you have like multiple in your hand at the same time, it's more powerful. So you're trying to arrange your deck so that you'll be able to draw these at the same time. It's very interesting. I really enjoy that. Plus, it has like this really interesting thing too, where you all have like these different spells that you can do, but you have to prep the area so that you can prep your spells there. And you have to prep it on your one turn, and then at the beginning of your turn, you can activate your prepped spells. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't prepped them, you don't get to activate them, so then you don't get to do them. But sometimes there'll be action where another person can go and activate one of your prep spells, so it gets to be used earlier on. Is just so neat. I really, really enjoy this one. It is hard, but I love it. So that's my number 5, Aeons End.
That's one thing with co-op. It's a co-op game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want them to be a bit hard, because if they're easy, you won't go back to them because you're like, I did it. But if they're hard, you're like, okay, again, we gotta try again.
Yeah.
You don't want them too hard that it's unattainable, but you want it hard enough where it makes it a little complicated to do, and then you feel satisfied when you do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. All right, my number 4 is My City, made by Reiner Knizia in 2020. Now, this was an awesome legacy game. It's a polyomino game, which is right at my alley, tile placement. The first game, I think there's 12 actually in it. You start out very simple, just a basic polyomino tile game. But each game, it adds stuff to it, adds more rules, or there's envelopes you'll pull up more things and add stickers and all kinds of things to it. It was awesome and so fun. And then the roll and write, the My City roll and write came out, and we thought, this isn't going to be that good, but we still tried it, and it's really good. It was awesome. It was a 12-game campaign again, and it's neat because it's just roll and write sheets, so you could literally play it again and again and again. Like we had planned to sell them both because it was me and Cherry that played through them, and then buy My Island. But now we're like, we just played a 2-player of the My City, the board game. We haven't played it for probably 2 years. We're going to play it again at some point because we have like a 2-player board still available. And the roll and write, we can play again as well. So we did end up getting, or Cherry ended up getting My Island, and we have started it. So that one, instead of using polyomino tiles to build your city, you are building an island, obviously, but you're using hexagon tiles, and not just single hexagon. Some of them are connected, so it's a little different. But we've only played through, I don't know if we played 2 or 4 games of the 12, but so far it's really neat, and I love those kind of games. And then apparently he's coming out with a 3rd one, and we were trying to figure it out. They'll tell us at the end of this game, and we're like, what is it? My Space? Is it like, what kind of theme would he do? He did My City, My Island, and who knows where else he's going to go with it. But it's awesome. I highly recommend this one. And it's such a quick one too. So if you're thinking, like I can't get anyone to play like an hour or 2-hour game, these games are 20 minutes long. So you can crack out 3 of them in an hour. I mean, maybe a half hour. Some of them will get a bit longer, and then you're a quarter way done already. So they're really quick and neat to play. And you can play the My City campaign on BGA. You can play it just as a normal game, but you can actually play through the whole campaign on there too. Yeah, that's my number 4, My City.
Nice. My number 4 is Legendary Encounters. Specifically, I've put Alien here. Now, I'll also add Predator. Now, the Alien one was published in 2014. It was created by Ben Chakosky and Daniel Mandel. No, it's a different Dan Mandel up there. But what's really neat with it, again, it's a deck. Okay, apparently, I really like deck builders.
I was just looking at that.
Deck builder, right? It's a deck builder co-op battle game, which has been all the other deck builders have added to this list. But what's really neat with this one is you set up the story you're going to be playing. So you can play the Alien first movie, or you can set up the Alien, like the second Alien movie, or you can set up the third Alien movie, or you can do, if you have the Predator one, the first Predator movie, or the second Predator movie, or you can combine the Alien and Predator and do like the Alien versus Predator movie. And it is cool. And with the James Bond one as well, as like, and I bought an expansion with this one, like, because you can do all these different James Bond movies also that kind of matches the movie you've been watching, and then you're playing that scenario. So I really, really enjoy the thematic aspect of it. Plus the gameplay is really interesting. Where you have, and with the encounters one, like the cards come out, so you have basically like a bad card that comes out each round, but it's face down. You don't know what's coming down the shaft until you scan that room and you flip it over. And sometimes it's like, oh, that's our objective card. That's good. We found that one. Or sometimes it's like, oh my God, it's a face hugger. That's bad. And then the face hugger attached to your character. And if it's not destroyed before your turn comes along, that face hugger becomes a chest burster. And then you have a chest, like you're impregnated with an alien, which as long as it's in the discard pile, it's fine. But eventually you're going to run out of card and you're going to shuffle that discard pile. And it's going to be in your deck somewhere. And it come out at any time. Which, side note, Ashley was dressed up as Ripley's from Aliens at their Halloween night, and I was like, oh my God, that is the best costume ever.
If you watch her YouTube video, I think you had a picture on there, right?
Yes.
Of her.
Yeah.
It was really good.
It looks amazing. Plus, she had like the little stuffy of the alien, and if you unzipped its mouth, the extra mouth came out. And then she had like a 3D printed face hugger as well. It was so cool. I gotta say, probably my favorite costume that night, just because I like that theme so much. But yeah, so I really enjoy, and I mean, you can play the scenario again and again and again, and depending on how the cards come out, it's gonna feel a little bit different, anyways. So it's the replayability is there, but it is really enjoyable. So that's my number 4, Legendary Encounters Alien.
Awesome.
Or Predator, or James Bond. And I guess there's a Buffy the Vampire Slayer out there too, and then Big Trouble in Little China, and then Matrix just came out.
Oh my gosh.
So I know.
Awesome. All right, my number 3 is Cascadia, made in 2021 by Randy Flynn. Now this one is the campaign in it, and I'm playing through the solo campaign. I would play like a normal multiplayer campaign, but my game group doesn't love this game enough to play through the campaign, but I love it. And the solo campaign, I think the solo is the same as if you were playing the multiplayer. It's hard. You have to kind of reach certain goals in order to win. And if you don't, you go back and do it over again. And it's just like their little campaign game in Calico, which is even harder. I find that game very hard. It looks so cutesy, but it's hard. But this one is a little more attainable, but I just love, it's just a simple tile placement game. You're placing the tiles you're choosing a tile, and then you're choosing an animal as well, and you're placing them in your tableau. The animal tile might go on a different one that you have, but you're trying to connect terrain, and the scoring cards for these change every game. So there's 5, I think, types of animals, and they all will have different scoring for each game. So it just depends where they want to be located, who they want to be beside, what orientation they want to be in. And it's just so neat and thinky. And you can play it in like a family mode. You can play it in just, and ramp it up. And now there's a Cascadia Landmarks expansion, which I'm definitely going to get. This is one game where I will have to get the expansion because it adds a little bit more to it. But it's awesome. And that's my number 3, Cascadia.
Yeah, my brother was going through that campaign and he was just loving it. Yeah. And then at FallCon, because he was there, we ended up playing Calico, because he hadn't played it before, which is part of the same trilogy and what Verdant Calico is as well, right? Yeah, it was
Calico, or no,
Cascadia.
Calico, Cascadia, then Verdant. And then Fit to Print, I don't know if that's part of that. Like, it's part of
I don't know, that definitely has a different feel.
It's the same box size, but I don't feel like it's that set. But
because with Calico, like, what's neat with it is like, yes, you're placing things and you're kind of be able to put things, but it gets so tight as you go. Like you're running out of space and room and it doesn't mat the pattern anymore. So it's a lot more restrictive than Cascadia, which is a bit more zen, I guess. It's more you're calm and playing because you don't have that pressure, I guess. But great series. I haven't tried Verdant yet, so
Verdant
I don't know.
it's really good, and I have started that campaign too. But I've listed Cascadia. It's my favorite of the three, but the three games are awesome. I love them.
Cool. All right, my number 3 is surprise, surprise, Chronicles of Crime, and this one is published in 2018, created by David Securel, and I just love it. Oh my god, I love this game. And it's app driven, but it's so cool. And we ended up playing it. Who did I end up playing it with? Oh, with Kayla and her wife that were over, and then we ended up playing it, and then they're like, so we're passing the phone over, and I bought the one with a little 3D viewer, and you're looking around the room to see what you can find, and it's like, okay, well, there's paper over there, oh, and there's a cake, so you're pulling cards like, okay, food, okay, paper, and as I pulling all the cards that could potentially pertain, and then after that you scan these cards and it says, oh, this is a clue, and it's like, oh no, that's nothing, put that away, and it's like, oh, this, you read the paper and it says this, and then you add this to your clue, and you're trying to solve this murder. Now it's a little bit more campaign than just, and I think it would kind of count as standalone, but there is some aspect in the story that might pop up again that kind of will evolve, but each scenario itself is pretty much standalone, so you could be playing with different people, but you'll have some aspect of the story that will kind of introduce from time to time, while like Detective, a modern was it Modern Detective or something like that? That one was
Detective.
Yeah, that one was definitely you had to have played the first one to be able to understand what happened in the second one and so on. So it was more linear, which I have somewhere. I need to reset and start it again because I do.
You know,
and then I
like
moved.
An LA Crimes version to go with that one.
Yes, I know.
I want
so I have the first version.
I played through that whole thing. But there's an LA Crimes. I might have to just get you that expansion and play that with you.
There you go. Yeah. So Chronicle of Crime, I love it. Then you have like the 1900, the 2400, and then the 1400. And then there's actually Chronicles of Time that just came out that I haven't really looked into it. I'm not sure how that works, but I'm intrigued. So... And then there's the Noir, and then there's the Riverview expansion. And at this point, I'll accept the Time one. I've owned them all now. I just need to play through them. But I also like with these ones, because they are like once you've done the scenario, it's kind of you've done the scenario. Now I've played the scenarios multiple times when I play with new people so that they can try it. So I have done some scenarios multiple times, and then I just partake less. But I'm almost kind of got the thing where I don't want to waste them. I don't want to play them unless it's like I got the right group of people to play with, or the right... Yeah. I would say 2 is probably like the sweet spot. But I was like, okay, I don't want to play them on my own and waste them just for me. Yeah. But, so I was like, I'm almost hoarding them. So I can...
Awesome. So you have to be Chronicles of Crime worthy to play with Mel.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you better enjoy it.
Yeah. So Kayla's one of our listeners. So you hear that, Kayla, you were worthy. You got to play one of her Chronicles of Crime. So now Kayla's a gamer, and Bailey, her wife, is not a gamer. Now, how did they really like it?
No, Bailey is, I would say she is a gamer, but she's not, like, kind of like Lee, right? Lee will like
I don't consider them gamers. And you will like games, but they're not like us.
Well, they're not insane. Yeah. Yeah, so they haven't lost their sanity. Yeah. Like we have. We were just in the deep end now, but no, actually, because we played a few games, she was really into the game. I think it has to be the right setting and the right game, for Lee and for Bailey to be into wanting to play but I think this one she enjoyed, unless she was just being polite and she was telling me that she enjoyed it. But I think she did enjoy it, and it was neat. Like we did we did the tutorial, and then we did the next scenario, and so it was a lot of fun. So that's my number 3, Chronicles of Crime.
Good one. All right, my number 2 is Glenmore 2 Chronicles. Now, this is made in 2019 by Matthias Kramer. Now, this one, they call them Chronicles, but to me, it's like a campaign. It's not a legacy because you play one game and then you open up a Chronicle, you play that, and then you can add it to the next. So then you play that one and then you open up the next one, then you can add them to both of them, and you can add them all eventually, or you could just pick and choose which ones you want to play. But it's so neat because this is happening in quite a few of these big Euro games, is that when they do these campaign or these module expansions or these chronicles, they get other designers to design them for them.
Oh, nice.
So they'll design a little expansion or some cards. But this one is neat because one of them, Jamie Stegmaier actually designed, and it has like a... Now, I don't know if he actually designed it, now that I think about it. But it's taken from him where they're... it's like whiskey, but they're aging it and stuff. Now I have to look if it was Jamie. But there is other people that have designed them. And it's really neat. It's a tile placement game. And you are building up your village. But the action selection is so neat because you have the tiles and they go on this rondelle. And so you move your worker to grab a tile, and then whoever's in the back gets to go next. So you could grab, if somebody's way ahead, you can just snap up all these tiles until you get to them, right? And then you will take them. But you don't want to have too many more tiles than everybody else because you get negative points. So you kind of want to keep it even, but you still want the good tiles. Now, there's a cool market mechanism in there where if you need to buy something, it has to be available to buy. Or if you want to sell something, there has to be spots on the market to sell. It's kind of a unique one. I've never seen that before. But the tiles are neat because you can only move... That's my thing I got to turn off here. You can only move... and Facebook's on. And you're talking! That's funny. You can only move your villager, I believe, like 2 spaces or something. And then by the end of the round, you want to get back to your main castle, which was your main tile, in order to score. And so there's all different types of scoring. And then each module is completely different. I know the very first one is like a boat race. So it's like a dragon boat race around. So it goes around the table and you're all trying to get all the way back to your own spot. But then you collect these little bonuses on the way. And there's all kinds of things in there. I think I'm only about halfway through. I've kind of been going the solo just to learn it all and then be able to play it with like a group. But I haven't got this game out in a while and I just love it so much. And that's my number 2, Glenmore 2 Chronicles.
Nice. That does sound neat. Yeah, actually, it was funny because I posted the thing about the Scandalo that I want to get, and then Travis just replies like, "Oh, I might be putting a Board Game Bliss order." So it's like, "Oh, thumbs up." Okay, my number 2 is Memoir 44. This one was published in 2004, and it was created by Richard Borg. I played this game for the first time with my brother, and he kept bugging me to play with it, but this is a 2-player game. And we kept being in, like, situation where we had a bunch of other players, like, well, no, let's not play it now, we'll play it some other time. So I went to visit him, and we played the game, and then I hunted it down, and I ended up finding it in Red Deer, and I loved it. Like, it was so good. Now, this is Memoir 44. It's an army-themed game, and you're replaying the World War II battles of Normandy. But it's very historically accurate, and you have, like, all these different scenarios, and it's like, hey, this was on this day, this is what, like, this side was doing, this is what the other side was doing, this is where all the troops were set up, and you reset it, and then you replay that battle. And like, some will have, like, some advantages, and then you have, your goals as, like, okay, well, you need to get 2 objective met, and then you would win, or so on, and it's so neat. It is so satisfying. And some are on the beach, and some are in the forest, but then you can get extra maps and expansion that's in the winter kind of set up or on the desert somewhere, and you have all these, like, miniatures. So you have your little tanks or your little army guys, or you have, like, your like these guns, or you have like barbed wire, and then you have like sandbags that you can put out. And I've also joined a Memoir 44 Facebook group, and I was posting on there because me and Jerome were playing this game because he's such an army themed fan. And somebody says, "Oh, that's so great you're doing this. Let me send you some stuff." And he sent me some like handmade 3D kind of plaster components, so that because you set up the thing and you're like, "Okay, well, there were trees over here, and there was a river over there, and then there was a bridge over here," and you set all this up on the map. So every time you play a different scenario, it's set up differently. And now I have these 3D pieces, so I can put that on there, and then it's like stands up, and it looks so good. And this game will play in about half an hour. And I mean, it's army themed, and that's like, I got it because I know Jerome is into it, but I loved it, even though like, I don't know that I would say I'm big into the army theme, but I love, love, love Memoir 44. And it is so neat. And then you have your cards that'll dictate what you can do and be like, okay, well, I'm going to play this one, which allows me to move my troops that are in the middle of my board, or this one that allows me to move the troops that are on the left side or the right side. And so you're kind of at the mercy of the cards you have as well. And you're trying to meet the scenario's objective. And some of them is like, okay, well, on this side, we're trying to protect the bridge, and you got to try to keep access of the bridge. But if the other player gets the bridge, then they get to kind of flip over one of their like objective tokens. And if they get to 3, they win. Or like, it is so cool. I love this game. And it's got all the different scenarios you can play, but then you can actually purchase scenario book number 1 and scenario book number 2 that gives you a bunch of extra scenarios that you can do. It's so great. And that's my number 2, Memoir 44.
Awesome. And I did just look it up. It is the multiple designers, just like in Le Grand Hod and all kinds of games like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Do that. Sweet. All right. My number 1. Now, this is my favorite legacy game to date. There might be another one coming up that could surpass this, which I'll talk about at the end. But this is Sagrada Artisans, made in 2023 by Peter Walton. I'm not sure if I wrote a C or no. But now, this one, me and my daughter are playing through. This is a roll and write version of Sagrada, which I thought, yeah, it'll be fun. You know, no big deal. But it came in this big, gorgeous box with this beautiful cover, and had all these envelopes and boxes, and then you have these journals, and they're like feel like a leather journal that you open up, and you start with game 1. It has this beautiful coloring sheet, and you play Sagrada. Now, the first game is basically Sagrada. It's a little bit different, but then it starts to change. And what they have done with this legacy game is unreal. It was nothing like what I thought would happen, but it's so neat. It's turned it into like a really cool Euro game to me, but I don't think we're quite halfway through. I'm hoping to bring this for our little retreat next week, and we can get a couple games played, but it is so neat. If you like Sagrada, you might have to like roll and writes as well, but it almost doesn't even feel like a roll and write, because the dice, you're using them as actions like you do in Sagrada. It's just that you're coloring them in instead of placing the dice on like you would in the game. It's awesome. There's so many surprises in that box that I can't even say. I wish I could tell you, but it is my number 1, Sagrada Artisans. And the one I'm looking forward to is Ticket to Ride Legacy is coming out. Now,
right.
I'm not a huge Ticket to Ride fan. Like, I do have Ticket to Ride. I have the Europe, and then I have a bunch of the expansions, which I did buy because my family likes it. So I'm like, ooh, well, let's get everything possible if they like it, right? But I do like it, and I do enjoy it. But this legacy game has gotten so much buzz that even people who aren't huge Ticket to Ride fans, they said, you really got to try this game. It's so neat. So I'm really looking forward to that one too.
Yeah.
But what's your number 1?
Okay, my number 1 is a game that I played for the first time with you and with Kayla. And that's Destinies. Yes. So Destinies was created in 2021 by Mikhail Golubowski and Philip Milonsky. And this one, now it's app driven. Now, one of the thing I find with app driven game is you tend to have the one person that runs the app and everybody else is just spectators to the game. With this one, it's not, because it's on your turn. You get the device and you do your turn yourself on the app, but then it's on the board as well. And it just kind of manages the story aspect of the game, because you start in the middle and then you have all these tiles that are like foggy. You can't quite see what's on there until you go there, and then you flip them up. And when you flip them up and you show on the app, okay, we've gone here, it says, okay, well then put this person there because he's there. Oh, and then there's this thing here as well. So it kind of creates the story as you go. So it feels like an adventure game. What I really enjoyed as well is we were playing this game. We're all in the same story, but we all have different viewpoints of this story, and we all have different goals that kind of intermingles with each other because it's the same story, but we have a different goal. And then you have this board that keeps track of like these little tokens on the different tracks, and when you do like I guess it's a you roll to test for different things. It pays for you to try to get the tokens moved as low as possible, because you'll roll the dice and you can add extra dice if you've acquired them and so on. And the number that you get is like, okay, and then you get to count however many token is up to that number and sooner. So if they're up higher, then you're gonna be less likely to get a really good score. And depending on what your score is, what the outcome will be of what's happening. And it could be like that you're in a church and you're gonna try to steal from the collection box, but are you going to get caught? Well, depends on what you roll and so on. So, or you're battling something, are you going to defeat it? Well, depends on what you roll. And so you're trying to kind of get yourself so that you're more skilled and powerful, so that your roles are more successful, and then trying to gather these different things, because each one of us had, so it's called Destinies because you had two destinies. You're trying to accomplish this thing, but you can do it in two ways. Like for me, it's like either I collect these items and then I could collect it, or either I recruit these people and then I could complete my goal. But it ended up that I wasn't successful, somebody else was successful, and they destroyed what I was trying to save. And so it was, the story aspect was so rich. It was so satisfying to play. The box is amazing. Everything is organized in there so well. And it's one of those where everything has its spot and there's a lid that keeps everything in place. So if you store vertically like I do, no problem. It's designed for that.
Perfect.
And then after I played with you, then I ended up buying 2 expansions so I would have more stories to go with, just because I loved it so much. I thought it was so neat. But it's another one of those that where I'm hoarding it to be able to play it, for have the great people. Experience. Yeah, exactly. But when we played it, me, you, and Kayla, I loved it. I thought it was so much fun. Yeah.
That's neat.
So that's my number 1, Destinies.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. These are some good games.
There really is. And one thing that's really cool too is like, I've got into the hobby in 2017. So I'm fairly new into the hobby. That older games are just as new and exciting to me as some new games are. And that brings me to our next topic that we're going to be doing. Because we're going to be doing our top 9 games that were published before the year 2000. I love to get those really old Euros or the really old games and give them a try. And I there's some amazing games there. Now, Carla, how about you? When were you got deep in this hobby?
Yeah, I was around, I think I might have been 2015, 2016. I'd have to look and really think back to when I started. And it all started with this little cafe that we have here that was open Saturday evenings from 6 to 11, and that's it. Once a week.
Right.
And I went with a friend, and then she didn't come anymore, and I just kept going, and it was like my favorite day of the week.
Nice.
But
yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So be sure to tune in for that and see which old gems have sparked our love interest for them. But yeah, before we call it quits here, Carla, where can we find you?
I'm at Instagram, boardgamespecialist, all one word, and I have a Facebook page called Red Deer Board Game Fanatics. What about you?
So we have our Discord channels. Be sure to check that out. I'm on Instagram as Mel_boardgame_room. My YouTube channel is Mel's Board Game Room. And then my Facebook page is Mel's Board Game Room. And then I'm also going to point out, in just a couple weeks here, we're going to be at Tabletop or Calgary Tabletop Day. And we're going to be doing our top 9. Actually, top 9. I'm saying top 9. I'm so used to 9. It's going to be top 5. Kind of gateway games. Yeah, and we're doing that with Sam Healy, with JT, and then with Brian Drake. So it's gonna be amazing. It's funny, like Sam texted me the other day and he's like, "Hey Melanie, this is Sam Healy from Flip Side of Board Game. Used to be with Dice Tower." Like he needed an intro. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So, it's going to be so great. I'm so excited for that event. So if you're attending, be sure to come and stop and chat with us. Me and Carla will both be attending. And then be sure to catch that panel when it's going to be happening. And we'll do a recap of that a little bit later, just to see how that event went. So
I was right. I had guessed because he was announcing another one, and I'm like, he said it was an illusionist and a magician, and I guessed Brian Drake, and I was right. And I have met him.
So that's gonna be cool because he's gonna do an illusion show that weekend. Yeah.
I met him on the Dice Tower cruise, and he's very tall. I'm not a very short person, but he's very tall. So, and his wife's name is Carla. So
there you go. Yes, she's going to be there as well.
Yeah,
so
she's usually his assistant.
Yeah, so that's so exciting. We're really excited for that event. We're really excited to see everybody there. I'll probably be taking a bunch of like little videos and bazillion pictures, you know me. So I'll be doing a recap video, but then we're going to be doing the recap on the podcast as well. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Bye for now.